Welcome back. This is the second clip of the strategic management video where I'll be continuing to talk about some of the focuses of the chapters and some of the highlights of those chapters. So as we were discussing last week, or in the last clip, we were talking about resources and the value of having strategic management in our companies and how it helps us to be successful. And it's really important that we understand that these things are critical to our success. Some of the things that we need to have in order to be successful is the ability to embrace change. The world will change, whether we want it to or not, whether we're ready for it or not, it will change. And we have to be flexible and be willing and able to embrace that change. We also have to be creative and innovative in using technology and being wise to what's happening out there in our resources in our world. And that's what we're going to focus on this particular clip. And finally, we need to be a world-class organization. We have to be run well. We have to have good integrity. We have to have good ethics. We have to have a pride in our product. And failure to do that would ultimately lead to a failure of our business. A company has to have a vision, what it wants, where it thinks it's going to go. The vision, as your book defines it, is what could be built of the organization's values and beliefs. And it helps the organization to elaborate a sense of purpose for their organization, and it sets broad goals. And it's very important that by having this vision, that it's something that you can tell other people. So the people that work for you can understand it, they can see what direction they're going, and those that are doing business with you can also understand better about what your company is and what makes it work. A mission statement is similar but different. In a mission statement is where it's a little bit more specific, and you're talking about specifically what you would like to do in the future. It's very focus oriented, and again, it helps to provide a guide for your employees and the people that you'll be doing business with. It's also very important, again, that you maintain good ethics and corporate responsibility, and understand that you have a role. Whatever business it is, you still have a role in our community and to our community. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is when we look at strategic management, one of the things we have to do is an analysis, and we talked about that earlier. We have to analyze the situation, and when we do an analysis of the situation, we're going to be talking about in this course a SWOT, which is actually our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. It's taking the time to look at both our external and internal. And it's very important that we understand that. A business that only has one of those that they're focusing in on would be almost like a chair with a loose leg. It's always going to be kind of tipping over, because we have to run our business well and do a good job, but we also have to understand the environment that we're doing our business in and who we're doing our business with. So we have to understand both parameters. So one of those things that we would do is an external analysis. And that's the process of scanning and evaluating organizations' external environments. This is what allows us to understand better what are the opportunities that are out there for us for growth, expansion, and also to understand threats that are out there that are looming and that could potentially affect our business. It's also important when we look at those external threats that we understand that businesses are very different. If you sell oil or you sell books, you're selling quite possibly to a different market, certainly different corporations, certainly different areas, different ways in which you do business, different ways in which you advertise your business. So it's really important that we understand the pulse of our specific business and what it is that we're moving and gearing that towards. Whoops, I apologize. What we're moving that towards. Some businesses move very, very quick. Technology, you've got to be the cream of the crop. You're really working with your talent. You've got to be sharp on the business. You've got to be at all know what the competition's doing. You've got to be at all the shows and technology and working all these scans, and what's good today in a year could be stalemate already. Where other businesses move a whole lot slower. If you're looking at a luxury item like handcrafted furniture, this product doesn't move so fast, and tradition is more important, and integrity is more important, and using things the same way they used to be made, that kind of thing. So we have to really look at what is our business, what makes our business great, and what are the people wanting from our business, and how to understand the pulse of that particular business. It's very important to know what the competition is doing, and what your resources are, what you're capable of, and how are you able to adapt with that. I was just at the phone store today looking at phones, and the phones before Christmas are different than the ones that are out after Christmas, and now they're adaptable to the phone or to a watch. What is it going to be in a year? What is that going to look like? Even looking at things like, I was recently looking at some Christmas lights, and Christmas came through, and we were looking at these old lights, then LED lights, now laser lights. Kids are going to be looking at Christmas lights and go, what are those? I've never even seen those before, which seem like they're a big deal. So even though that, has a time-honored tradition, and it's certainly gotten around for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, but times change. And when technology changes, things will continue to change. So we have to understand that in that bigger environment, that not only is our product something, but it has to be able to change and align with the changing of the world. We need to understand our specific environment. We need to understand our specific customers, our specific competitors, and even our suppliers. What's happening with the supplies? If you produce something that is no longer being produced, like light bulbs is a great example where everything's moving to LEDs and things like that. You can no longer get that. Now I know if you're like me, you feel like, oh, it's a conspiracy. They change the strands every year, and then you have to buy a whole new strand of everything. But the times changed, and so they're not compatible with each other. And so we have to understand that as well. Sometimes it is very difficult to get used parts for certain things, even if we like that product, because they simply aren't going to make it anymore. And we also have to understand the general environment as well as that specific environment of our business, meaning the social culture of our environment. Are we going to war? Is global, we talk about global warming and things like that right now. That's very, very hot in the news. So we wouldn't be moving an industry and that's going to be causing problems with that. That's what are the rules and regulations that are going to be coming down on my business because of that? What are the rules of a particular city, of a particular state? What are the demographics? Do I have the people that can work in my business or work in my resources? What are the pay wages? All of those things, understanding that the culture around us will also impact our business and our ability to make it successful. If we have a business and we can't find the resources, human resources, to work it, then we're going to have a problem. So we have to understand that as well. We also need to be able to look at the barriers. What are things we just have to do differently in order to get that get out there? If we're looking for the right personnel, or we're looking for the right technology or the right resources, or partnering with the right companies, how are we going to get to that and make that happen? Even understanding rules and regulations of a different state or a different country. All these things are barriers. They're not necessarily going to stop us from doing our business, but they are going to make us have to make changes in order to be successful around it. It's very important that we stay proactive so that we can understand the pulse of our business and what's happening, whatever business or whatever area that is. That includes things like conferences, studying our competition, going to trade shows, really understanding that whole dynamic of our business and what's happening with it. So that's the external component. We also have an internal component, or an internal analysis. That's understanding our particular company as it is. And remember, we had talked about earlier our resources. What do we have already that will help us to be the most successful? And again, it's not always money. It's going to include things like our reputation, our culture, our work ethics, our rules. There are companies out there people just want to work for. They're awesome companies. And so they're going to get the cream of the crop, and they may not even pay as much as the competition. But because of the other benefits that they offer, people want to work for them. So those are resources for certain companies. If a company says that, with the limitations that I have, this is what I'm going to offer. I let my people work from home, or I let them, there's a perk here that really draws the people over to my company versus another company, bringing them the richest of the resources, the human resources, which can really drive that company. Success can sometimes be based on our ability to change, or to accommodate different people, or to reconfigure, or to address the rapidly changing environment. We have resources or tools that allow us to move faster than the competition, or to do it better. It gives us the edge up on the competition. So that's really important. Maybe there's businesses out there that are so big that they can't do smaller projects. So you pride yourself in smaller projects and getting that edge because somebody else can't do it, or you can get to it faster where somebody else may have to wait 6 months or 8 months to get in. So there's a market out there if you can find that niche market and understand it. And that's understanding that internal analysis. What are the strengths that I have that I can tell people about that would want them to pick me or my company or my product over somebody else's. It's very strength oriented. But in having that strength, they also have to remember those are the things that other people are going to be looking to exploit or take away from you. It's also very important in internal analysis to understand our weaknesses. What are the parts that we're not as successful at? We're not as quick. We're not on the web. We're not utilizing the technology we need to. What are the things that are holding us back from taking that next step? We have to really understand what are we good at, but to make sure that we don't get lost in that, where are the areas that we need to improve on the most, and really focus on those and ensure that we catch them up. And you would do an audit of those kind of things to look at that. You would want to audit each and every area of your company. You're going to look at areas such as your production, your marketing, your research, even your accounting, your human resources, all of those things. Looking at each and every one of those areas and saying, what are the strengths of this area? What are the weaknesses of that area? Are there things that we need to do differently or change in order to be progressive and up with the times, and not to ensure that we don't have other problems that sneak up on us that we didn't anticipate, we didn't see. Resources are a huge part of our success, and will be a huge part of our success. And again, remember, resources are not always many. You also have to realize that as much as you will be studying your competition to understand what's out there and how do you get the edge up, they're also going to be looking at you and trying to understand better what you're doing to ensure that they get the edge up on you. So it's a very mutual kind of competition thing that they're looking at with that. You're going to be competing and trying to find the best ways to produce the same quality product at either a better price or a better value or a better delivery or a better quality or something that gives you the edge over somebody different. And that's important to understand. Quality is something we look at in luxury items. People will pay more for that and they'll wait longer for that. But when we're talking about typical things, average things, let's talk about, Walmart. Again, you don't have to be a big fan of Walmart, but there are a lot of people who will look at something and they may like the mom and pop shop, but they're not going to spend $6 on a laundry basket when they can go to Walmart and get one for $3 because it's 50% off. It's in Walmart brings a lot of products. A laundry basket's a laundry basket. If it's coming from the same company that's producing it and bringing it in, and if Walmart's bringing it to the consumer cheaper and easier, people are going to go there. They just are. And, that's just one product and maybe they wouldn't, but when you have a list of hundreds of items that you're getting throughout the year, and your savings could be significant, very, very significant. So Walmart learned how to effectively strategize to get the same product, that laundry basket, that can of Coke. A can of Coke is the same whether you get it at Walmart or Publix. It's just going to cost more at Publix. And so people are going to buy those products at that cheaper price if they can. And then we have, online and that competition that's coming out as well. So if you know the product and you're already familiar with the product, that delivery can be a key in how you're going to be successful or not successful. In fact, one of the biggest competitors Walmart has now, which they did not envision when they first came up and they have to stay up on, is online. You've got Amazon, you've got Jet, you've got things that are coming right to the door and also having the cheaper prices. So they will continue to have to revitalize and continue to be up on that. Their online system simply isn't as strong as those other companies are right now. So that's going to be one of their key areas in order to continue to be successful. They've got an edge on marketing, and other people studied what they did and how they did it and used those tools in order to enhance their own businesses. So it's always cutthroat, always something we want to keep in mind. Remember, it's not just the product, it's also the quality of service. If you order something, Amazon is an excellent example. I've had good success with Amazon. Again, not everybody loves it, not everybody's had good success, but I literally ordered something last night that came this morning. And so that's quick, it's easy to access, and it was no more expensive than I would have gotten it at Walmart. If I had to wait 3 or 4 weeks, if it only came in half the time, if it was damaged, then that quality wouldn't be there, even though the pricing may be there, and I wouldn't continue with that company. When we look at analysis, it's also important to understand that it's a continual process. We're going to be looking externally, we're going to be looking internally. You're going to set your goals and you're going to set what you're hoping to achieve, and you're going to have to check in on them a lot. and make sure you're where you need to be, and that the times will change, the culture will change. Did something happen in this period of time that would change our strategy, our goal, or what we need to be looking at? Sometimes things can happen that are profound that wouldn't be anticipated. And so we have to be able to check in frequently, looking at those goals to ensure that they're the right goals and that we're on them the way we should be on them. And that's very, very important. Again, knowing your industry, it will help you. If it's a fast-moving industry, you're going to have to check in more often, maybe every 30 days, every 90 days, every 6 months. If it's a slow-moving industry, like, again, handcrafted furniture or something like that, you might be able to check in annually. But you need to have a schedule, a check-in schedule, where you're reviewing and ensuring that you're on track. If you're only checking in every 10 years, you don't have a strategic plan. You just wrote a story. You don't really know how it's working. So it's really important to understand your culture, your company, your business, your competition, your internal factors, and your external factors. So stop on back for the third clip and we'll talk a little bit more about those things.